Hello and welcome to the Rose Sanctuary. My name is Roselle Thompson. Today we're going to talk about stress, how to navigate a recovery from it. Now, the first step in embracing recovery is to understand stress. Know that stress is a natural response to challenges. It activates the body and mind to help meet our various internal and external demands. And while some people see it as the enemy, perhaps it's better to look at it as not necessarily eliminating it altogether, but rather it's something that we should balance. Yes. Now, the reason why I say not eliminate it altogether is because stress operates on a spectrum where it can both benefit us as well as harm us. Now, let's talk about this spectrum. At one end of it, there is low stress. Too little stress can lead to boredom and stagnation, leaving you disengaged and unmotivated. Then there's another part of the spectrum where we can refer to it as having moderate stress. Now, moderate stress is the sweet spot where stress drives growth, energy, and optimal performance. So that's why I had said earlier that we don't want to eliminate stress altogether. It can act as a motivating factor. Now, hear this. High stress, short bursts of high stress can promote growth, yes, if they're followed by adequate recovery. And the key word here is recovery. Without recovery, even moderate stress can escalate into chronic stress, harming physical, mental, and emotional health. So let's look at the stress recovery balance. I like the word balance. Okay. When stress becomes overwhelming, it goes beyond a person's ability to cope. This is when recovery plays a vital role. It allows the body and mind to reset by preventing some negative effects on the prolonged stress. Now, what does that look like? It includes emotional burnout, struggling to process or regulate your emotions, mental fatigue, negative thought patterns and difficulty concentrating, and also physical strain, weakened immunity, impaired recovery, and reduced energy levels. So here is a simple way to understand stress and its consequences. Imagine you had a bucket. That bucket represents you. The bucket represents your capacity to cope with stress. Every day of your life, you might experience stress from work, your relationship, including also physical stressful activities that you undertake on a day-to-day basis. So your bucket, which is you, begins to accumulate the stress that keeps being poured into it. Now, think a stage further. Without emptying this bucket, it eventually becomes full and begins to overflow. Now, at this point, without strategies to empty the bucket, we begin to feel overwhelmed and we reach burnout point. So, my advice is you need to try to identify your stressors. And most important, you need to adopt practices to manage and reduce your bucket's load. Yes. As I said earlier, recovery isn't only about avoiding stress altogether, but let's look at it as ensuring there is space to handle the challenges. Now, recovery is absolutely essential for health. Why? Chronic stress without recovering properly keeps the body in a constant state of alertness, where it is forced to activate this fight or flight response. Now, while this state is helpful in short bursts, prolonged activation prevents essential processes like sleep, digestion, and immune function, and the list goes on. So, there is a science behind the recovery. Now, let's look at it at two primary branches within the autonomic nervous system. The first one is this. There is the sympathetic nervous system, or SNS. Now, this governs the fight or flight response, and it prepares the body for action, The second one is the parasympathetic nervous system, or it's usually called PNS. It's responsible for rest and recovery, helping the body to repair and recharge. But prolonged stress keeps the SNS in overdrive by reducing the body's ability to access that lovely one, the PNS. However, recovery practices can restore this balance and allow the PNS to do its job. It will ultimately lead to better sleep, improved digestion, more enhanced resilience. So it's a good habit to incorporate practical recovery strategies in our lives. As I said, this is essential for maintaining health and performance, and we can look at some evidence-based strategies to help you. Well, let's look at three main areas: the physical recovery, mental recovery, emotional recovery. Let's start with physical first. Now, these are practical, they're doable. So here we go. Prioritize sleep. Sleep is the most powerful recovery tool. Adults should aim for roughly 7 to 9 hours of quality sleep per night. Try to maintain a consistent sleep schedule. Avoid screens before bed and create a calming bedtime routine. Now, I know that is difficult. I have a tendency too to be looking at the last minute, what's the news, whatever else it is. I have learned to stop and to, demand my quality time. Stay away from the noise for the last minute. And that noise is perpetual. It goes on because social media and technology, it's there 24/7. Active recovery, low intensity activities like yoga, stretching, or gentle walks, they improve circulation and it reduces muscle soreness. So that's another thing you can adopt. What about nutrition and hydration? Eating nutrient-dense foods and staying hydrated, that supports the body's repair processes. So that was your physical. Let's have a look at the mental recovery, how we can mentally recover from stress. Well, there are these practices, often called mindfulness practices. What do they look like? Things like meditation, deep breathing, or journaling. Now, that's a good one. Writing in that journal, from mind to paper. It helps to calm the mind and reduce stress. I personally journal. Apps like Headspace or Calm can help beginners establish a routine. It's in the UK. Mental reframing is another practice. You should try to view challenges and opportunities for growth rather than threats. Positive reframing reduces the mental strain of stress. Okay, so it's perceptive, how you look at things, and that's important to keep that balance. How about emotional recovery? Well, social support, connecting with loved ones, or seeking professional guidance, that helps emotional resilience. It helps you to build up that resilience from stress, or at least remember to manage it, to balance it. Okay. Sharing feelings can reduce the emotional burden of stress. When you're stressed and you have this, it's in your mind, and, it's all in the head. And the moment you share it, it feels lighter. Okay. That's what I mean. Journaling, as I just alluded to, is writing down thoughts and emotions, how you feel. So it's that silent partner or person, the journal, and it can help you process your experiences and to gain a perspective. Then how about enhancing your recovery with some special modalities or practices that goes beyond the traditional rest, okay? And these can provide benefits that are targeted to certain parts of the body and the mind. So examples of these would be heat and sauna therapy. Sauna, it stimulates the PNS, the parasympathetic nervous system. We remember that I mentioned. It reduces cortisol, which is the stress hormone. It promotes the release of endorphins, which are your good feel chemicals. Saunas are also, they improve your circulation, and it relaxes tense muscles. So again, beyond your rest, there is another practical practice that you can adapt. Recommended 15 to 20 minutes of sauna, maybe twice or three times per week, or hot baths with Epsom salts. That helps to unwind as well. So that would be a nice alternative. And, it's in your home, so it's readily available. Right. In addition to the hot therapy, well, there is the cold water therapy too. For those of you who like and can do it, cold exposure, it activates the PNS, it reduces stress, and it promotes relaxation. It also triggers the release of mood enhancing neurotransmitters in the brain. If you're going to do it, cold showers, perhaps 30 to 60 seconds, or cold water immersion, 3 to 5 minutes, a few times a week. Now, my son is good at that, but I'm not. I like the hot one. Breath work, wonderful, wonderful practice. So the benefits, so slow, controlled breathing lowers the heart rate. It decreases cortisol and it calms the mind. I personally do that one and I find it absolutely effective. Now, techniques like box breathing, where you inhale, you hold for a period of time, and you exhale. I do 7-4-7. So you hold it for 4 counts and then you breathe out. That can provide immediate relief. Recommendation, perhaps 5 minutes of breath work in the morning, before bed, or during stressful moments. So there. And it's that easy to do. I even do it in my car when I'm driving. So most people tend to think that, they're feeling stressed, and then they sort of, go to get the alcohol. Well, it's not a way to relax. It actually can prevent true stress recovery. It impacts your sleep, okay? Alcohol disrupts sleep, the deep sleep stages, and it leads to poor quality rest. So, it's just most people think it helps, but it doesn't. It increases the stress hormones. it raises the cortisol levels and it makes it harder to manage stress. So really, it's not really a solution, although a lot of people tend to go for that. Try and designate alcohol-free days. Explore non-alcoholic alternatives to unwind, okay? So I would go for herbal teas or whatever relaxation rituals that you have, but that is more advisable. So once we engage in recovery from stress, you need to go one stage further. Okay, you need to build resilience by adopting habits that makes not only recovery just about bouncing back. It's not only about bouncing back. It's really about building the capacity to handle stress better over time. Now, what would that look like? Let's think about balancing effort with rest. Alternate periods of intense activity with rest to avoid burnout. I know it's easier said than done, but you need to create that balance is what we're talking about. You can adopt recovery rituals, as I said, regular practice of mindfulness, saunas, cold therapy. I said that. And consistency. You need to embrace consistency, okay? Recovery is most effective when it's a consistent thing. It's not just a one-off and then that's it, okay? Not just when you're stressed, but you could adopt those practices and make it part of your regular habit. So, the benefit of prioritizing recovery from stress, if you incorporate it in your routine, it improves your physical performance. You got better muscle repair. It reduces fatigue, and it does really enhance your endurance, okay, for your physical performances. There is greater emotional stability, right? It reduces your anxiety, better mood regulation, and it increases your resilience as well. Now, in terms of cognitive function, it does enhance it, improves your focus, your creativity, and your decision making. All these things that we take for granted. We look for shortcuts. It doesn't always work. This is why it's short-lived. And again, it's stronger immune system. A well-recovered body is better equipped to fight off illness and inflammation. Okay, so finally, we see recovery as a necessity. Recovery is the foundation of resilience. Now, while stress is inevitable and even beneficial to parts of life, as I said, remember I talked about the fight or flight response when we really need it. There are times it can become overwhelming and detrimental to our health. So, one takeaway is this: embracing the practices that I've just outlined, you can optimize your physical, your mental, and emotional health. And also at the same time, it unlocks lots of potential. Yeah, lock your full potential, in fact. One takeaway: if you're striving for balance, you need to prioritize your recovery from stress as something that you do not negotiate. Okay, it's non-negotiable because it's that part of your well-being which is so important. The fact is, recovery isn't just a break. Recovery from stress is the key to overwhelming challenges in your life. We're surrounded by a fast-paced technical world that demands our attention 24/7. And most times we want to be, doing it 24/7 if we don't stop. And so this is why managing it, recovering from it, and then building resilience, those strategies are so important. Now, easier said than done, but it is an important aspect. It's non-negotiable, as I said. And, you have an opportunity to listen and listen and listen again until you make it you make notes, see the reality of what I've just outlined, because for longevity, long life, to look good and feel good, and all the sort of desires that you have, it's not waving a magic wand. It does take work, and you work on yourself. So that is my humble advice to you. I hope you enjoyed this video. I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Please don't forget to subscribe. Press the button below, and you will be apprised of all videos that are uploaded. So, or you can join a membership and see what options are available to you. We've got some lots of good programs and exciting little activities to help you and to make life that less stressful. So thank you for watching. I'll see you again in the next video. Bye bye now. Bye.